first thing we'll do is, I guess, kick it to Captain Post to talk about our schedule this summer.
All right, good evening, everyone. Cadet check-in will occur for Texas A&M students on May 22nd, for Cal Maritime students on May 23rd. On May 28th, we will be hosting an open house with public tours. Also, we'll be hosting, and Rebecca, if you could help me make sure to get the name right, the Mary Moody Northern Senior Breakfast. Is that correct? For all of our senior cadets to bring 2 people aboard the ship for breakfast and personalized tours. And we'll be doing that on the 29th. Departure from, 28th. Departure from Galveston will be on the 29th of May. Our first stop, Charleston, and that will be between June 10th and 13th. Second stop will be Reykjavik, Iceland, between June 25th and June 28th. Third stop will be Bermuda, and that will be July 11th to July 14th. Finally, coming back into Galveston on July 28th, and on July 31st, summer sea term ends. The amount of days, for those of you who are counting, that'll be 67 time and a half days and 4 straight time days for a total of 71 days. This is what our regular normal sea term will look like going forward. Schedule will remain roughly in the vicinity of dates that it is now. So we're really happy to be running a full sea term.
Great.
Back over to you, Colonel.
Okay, thank you, Captain Post. And if we didn't announce at the beginning, this is being recorded and it will be shared later as soon as we can get it prepped to that. Okay, I'm going to talk next about vaccination plans, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a lot's changed in the last year, which simplifies our operations to a great degree. But COVID is not over, and the rules change at times. But to be clear, we encourage vaccination. Vaccination is not required. There is a form that went out. Ms. Corey sent out an email today that has some of the things that we ask you to do, and one is we ask you to actually submit a copy of your vaccination card if you have that, because it's really important, and we need to get that in. And I think the details were in the email that Corey sent earlier. The reason we need that, we need to know it on board. The ship's doctors need to know if we have any outbreaks on board. They need to know who is and who is not. The conditions on board, we don't plan on having masks or anything. Don't plan on doing a pre-quarantine or pre-testing even. We'll have tests available on the ship. A lot of them will have masks available on the ship. Those masks don't work for me real well, so I'm bringing my regular masks that I use here when necessary. So in general, we don't plan on doing anything special related to COVID. If we have a breakout on the ship, we'll deal with it. We will have 2 medical doctors on the ship with us this summer. We'll be following, them, working with the captain to, for the safety of everybody on board. Now, some facilities in port, we could be in a port, Charleston, for instance. We could be in Charleston, and there may be facilities there because their state laws are different than Texas and different than California. They may have restaurants or facilities that say nobody comes in the door without a vaccination card. I have run into that in other states. So I carry mine in my wallet. I recommend you do the same. I think it's really important too, because you just don't know. And if there's kind of an outbreak and any of the ports are changing their current posture, that may be a very important thing to have with you. So I encourage you to go ahead and have that. Now, the territory of Bermuda does run 100% requires vaccination or proof of vaccination before you're allowed off the ship. Right now, Reykjavik, Iceland does not have that, but Bermuda does require that. And by you submitting a copy of your vaccination card ahead of time, that allows us to put together the full records and the letter. So when we, or before we actually dock in Bermuda, we will transmit that port approval letter with the list of all the people that are vaccinated and will be getting off the ship. So if you're not vaccinated in Bermuda, you will not be able to get off the ship for sure. We believe that that's currently not the case in Iceland nor Charleston, but that's the best we know right now. I think I've answered the pertinent questions that were there. Again, there's no pre-quarantine, there's no testing, whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated. It's at low enough a level, right now that we don't feel like we need to, we really buy any benefit from that. So we're looking forward to a much more normal summer in that regard. Okay, switching gears, I'm going to turn it over to our Chief Financial Officer and our finance folks, Susan Lee and company.
I'm going to unmute and then I'm going to share my screen here. And I'm looking for it. Hold on one second. I am unmuted, correct?
Yes.
All righty. Now let me start the okay, I've got something in the way of my being able to start this slideshow. Hold on one second.
While we wait for Miss Lee, I do have one other piece of information on the schedule that I forgot to mention, and it's quite important. Captain McNeese and I have been working very hard with Captain Howell, who will be our chief mate this summer, on voyage planning, and we will be going north of the Arctic Circle after we depart Iceland. And for those of you who don't know, we will be getting Blue Nose certificates for all who make that voyage.
And Susan, I think you want to do presentation mode here. Click the presentation button in the bottom, near the slider in the bottom right. You're muted, Susan.
I've got a weird, there. Okay, now I just couldn't get it to move that for me.
There we go. Slideshow.
There we go. I'm sorry, forgive me, but I had a bar up at the top. I couldn't move. Good evening. I'm going to give you a brief presentation on summer sea term financial stuff. I have with me tonight Crystal Lewis. She works for Student Business Services down on the first floor of the main building, and you're welcome to speak to her anytime. We have a few questions, and they're very specific about individual issues. Crystal, will you welcome a call from these folks so that you can help them out?
Absolutely. You can give me a call, or you can email Student Business Services at tuitioninfo@tamug.edu. And we can get those specific questions answered for you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to start out by giving you a little bit of a historical view, perspective of our vessel. TAMUG lost use of a large ship, the Texas Clipper II, in 2005. Then from 2006 to 2017, we purchased summer sea terms from other academies, much like what Cal Maritime is doing to come on board our ship. In 2018, we began operating a large training ship per the ship sharing agreement with MARAD. Since that time, operational costs have increased due to fuel, required crew, pierside dredging, and other inflationary pressure. I'm sure everyone's aware, on average, inflation has been about 3 to 4% per year, but as recently as high as 8%. So we're looking at some squeeze on cost. I can rest assured that's what's happening. University reserves had to be used in 2020 to pay for dredging for this large vessel, and this cost will continue every year. So we know this cost will continue. This slide is just going to show you the first time we had use of the TS Kennedy and how much it costs and how much we collected. We have revenues coming in from our cadets that are going on board. And in 2018, we had $2.6 million come in. You may not be aware, but we have several exemptions and waivers that some students take advantage of or are eligible for. And we have to reduce that income by those exemptions because unfortunately, we don't get reimbursed by the state of Texas for some of these exemptions. So that reduces the net income to about 2.3 million in 2018, and 3 years later to 2.4 million. So there's only on average a $97,000 increase in revenues since 2018. Now, some of this has to do with the number of cadets. We could have a few less in 21 than we had in 18, but reality shows that we haven't collected much more. So the cost that we're pushing on to you has not gone up that much. The expenses for the budget for C-term, when we did the TS Kennedy in 2018, MARAD actually ran the ship, and we got a big, huge rendering from them for a total of $3.5 million, but it was difficult for me to show you each of these line items from that number. But this is how much they showed that the expenses were. So you can see that we collect from you 2.3 million, but the costs were actually 3.5. So that left us in a hole of about $1.1 million. We make that up by using some of the MARAD direct support. Also, we get fuel subsidy from MARAD that helped us out. And in 18, fuel cost about $726,000. University funds kicked in the rest, so that made us whole. Then in 2021, you can see that the expenses increased dramatically, and almost all of that is attributable to fuel. If you look at this number right here and this number right here, it's a difference of $537,000. Fuel has gone up dramatically, and as you might suspect, it's going up again for 2022. Fortunately for us, MARAD did support the fuel by $1.2 million. And the reason for that is we get a typical subsidy each year from MARAD of about $600,000. But in some previous years, we did not use all of our fuel subsidy, and they allowed us to bank it. So we were able to use that to make it whole and not have to charge you more for those cruises. The next slide, we're just going to talk about the current cost of operating summer term and how we finance it. And the first thing I'm going to show you is how we bill you. This is a typical billing model, and I'm going to explain to you how we use this money. The first group here is called tuition. This is what we charge every student who takes a class at this university by semester credit hour. The state minimum tuition is $50. Then we have a small license option tuition of $12.50. We have what we call designated tuition, also known as local tuition. A long time ago in the state legislature, the state decided that they would freeze the $50 state tuition, and they would allow universities to deregulate local tuition. So a long time ago, it was 50-50, and that was around 2004. Since that time, we have increased the local tuition, but the state has remained the same. Residential differential tuition is what's charged by what we call college, and our campus is considered like a college in the main campus, so we charge $48.23. So the total tuition collected for a typical 4-hour course aboard the ship would be $1,190. This does not go to support the summer C term at all. These fees are collected from every student who takes a course on this campus, no matter where they take it. The ship is also considered a classroom. So these support all classes taught all year long, all operating budgets, as well as IT, student services such as enrollment, and it also supports fixed costs of doing business. And those sometimes are pretty expensive, such as utilities and insurance. The second group of fees here are what we call student mandatory fees. And these are some are charged by semester credit hours. You can see here, university advancement fee. And then these others are charged by semester, and these are summer semesters. So we have a health fee, a sports rec fee, and a student center complex fee. So all of these tuition and mandatory fees add up to $1,883.98. This group is collected by semester credit hour, as I said, or by semester, and they're used to support library operations, vessel operations, advising, fire and life safety, general administrative offices, and it also supports rec sports, student center costs, and student activities, as well as a health contract we have with the University of Texas Medical Branch, which serves our students when they're ill. What we do that's a little bit different for summer cruise is we take these three fees, $44.50, $105, and $100, and we actually do support the doctors on board the ship, some recreational opportunities, our common doc staff, our counseling staff, all those people that we bring on board with you are supported in part by this, but it doesn't support it all. Then if you look down here, this is the very specific cruise cost, okay? This number right here is what goes to support the summer sea term operations. Chartwells is our meal plan people, and they're charging us $50 per day. And they charge us exactly the same thing last year. They actually charge us $55, I'm sorry, $55 per day, but we are only charging you $50. So we're supporting the $5 per day for you. You can see over here that there's a change column. The change column shows that last year you paid $3,100. The difference is there's no rate change. We're still charging you $50 per day, but you have 9 extra days of meals. So that's the difference of $450. And then the small difference up here, $33.96, is the inflation index that the Board of Regents approved for 2022. So if you add all these things up, plus the little $30 drug testing fee, the total is $12,288.98. Now, if you are not a Texas resident, we also charge an additional differential tuition for all of our non-resident students, not just you, but all. And that fee is $300 per semester credit hour. And those fees also go to support year-round costs described above. So basically the change from last year to this year is $483.96. If you're resident, you should expect to pay about this much, and non-resident this much. But this number is what you need to be prepared to understand. That's what supports the basic summer sea term. If you look at this slide, this is from SUNY. I just wanted to show you. This is right off their website. They have a 75-day term this year. Their in-state tuition is $1,767, and if you look back, ours is $1,883 total. And then if you look at their cost of meals, it's $3,200, and their assessment for maintenance and all is $8,550. So their total is $13,517, while ours for a resident is $12,288. Very, very close. We're very close to that one in particular. I just wanted to show you that. Then if you look, we're going to show you an example of a traditional resident student versus the license option resident student. All of our students are charged the exact same thing here. If you'll notice, $50, $50. The only thing different here is that little $12.50 if you're a resident student, and the little $30 fee. The total difference is only $217.50. So we don't charge only $200 more for a normal long semester of 15 semester credit hours to our regular resident license option students. Now, if you look at the non-resident, normal, regular, traditional non-resident students that are not licensed option, they get charged $458 per semester credit hour by the state of Texas. State of Texas requires that. You get an exemption. You get only $50 per semester credit hour. So if you're a non-resident student and you're in the ELO program, you are actually being charged $6,000 some odd dollars less than a traditional non-resident student. And then there's that little $12.50. And then if you go down, Remember, we talked about the non-regulated differential tuition. Our traditional non-resident students are charged $400 per semester credit hours, while the LOs are charged $300. So on average, if you're taking 15 semester credit hours in a long semester, you will be paying $7,400 less than our traditional non-resident students. Just wanted you to see that. Now let's take a look at the cost of summer sea term. Remember, I talked about that $10,375. On average, we're thinking we're going to have about 250 cadets, so we'll get about $2.5 million in. We have to take off those exemption and waivers, and then we have revenue from our other academy cadets, and this is just a wild estimate, but we believe it'll be somewhere around that number, for a total of $2.7 million. Salaries and wages for summer sea term are about $1.2 million. You can see the big ticket items here. It's very obvious. Fuel, 1.4 million, and then food services, 1.3 million. In 2021, this was more like $100,000 less, but that's because we're going to have more cadets on board. So this is a matter of volume and not price. And then port services, deck and engine operations, the doctors that I talked about, and then the supplies are all under here. And then our annual dredging set aside. So it really costs us about $4.8 million to run this ship. So we're in the deficit of $2.1 million, but we get money from other places, which make us whole. From MARAD, we use about $400,000 to support summer sea term. And then that fuel subsidy I talked about, we are still going to get another $1.3 million this year. But I believe at that point in time, we will have used up everything we've banked. So next year, we assume we'll only get about 600,000. So this has really, really helped us over the last 3 years. And then the rest of it comes from general university support. It's about an $1,800 per cadet subsidy. So that's a good thing. And then if you look at total estimated annual tuition and fee cost amongst the academies, you can see that if you're an in-state student, between the top three, it's only about a $38.95 difference. And then if it's an out-of-state student, we're right there in third place. The reason why we're a little cheaper here is because of those things I showed you on those other slides. You get a little break for being a non-resident LO. This slide does not include sundries such as books, travel expense, and personal miscellaneous things, because it's very hard to identify those on other academy websites. But this is a segue into financial aid, because financial aid actually takes these things into account when they estimate your total cost of attendance. And I'm going to leave it at that, Trent. So I'm going to segue to you.
All right. Howdy, everybody.
Thank you all.
Howdy, everyone. My name is Cody Buchina. I am from Texas A&M Scholarships and Financial Aid. I'm actually taking over for Trent. He normally does these presentations, but I'll be doing it on his behalf today. So give me 1 second here while I share my screen. And if someone can just give me a thumbs up if they can see this this beautiful PowerPoint, perfect, awesome. So like I said, I'm from Texas A&M Scholarships and Financial Aid, and we'll be kind of going over some of the basics, you know, those FAQs, those kind of basic things you'll want to know for this summer sea term. So going on that first slide here, let's see. All right, so what kind of financial aid is available? So this is where we're kind of in that generic financial aid world. First, we have university scholarships. That scholarship application is closed. It closed February 1st. There is a specific cruise-based scholarship that will be awarded to, I believe I heard about 12 cadets. That awarding has not been done yet. I do know there's a question regarding that in the kind of pre-questions that we had. So that will be done within the next month. There's actually a process going on right now where scholarship awarding is being moved from Galveston to the A&M campus. So we're kind of, I don't want to say behind, but we're a little slower than we would normally be. However, those will be awarded within the next month, and they will be awarded before bills are due. So you can kind of, you know, if you're one of the ones who receives it, it will be there before your bill. Grants, those are going to be needs-based per your FAFSA. Again, always submit that FAFSA, very important. We'll kind of get more into the FAFSA here in a little bit. Federal direct subsidized and unsubsidized loans, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. So first, in the summer, to be eligible to take one of these loans, you have to have 6 hours of undergraduate coursework or 3 hours if you're a graduate. And of course, if you're a graduate student, that's unsubsidized loans only. Those annual loan limits do exist. So if you have already hit those limits for this year, you will not be able to take out any more of those federal direct subsidized or unsubsidized loans. And we'll get more into that here in a bit. There's also the Parent Plus loan. I like to say that this is a loan that your parents take out on behalf of your education. So it's in their name, but it's for your education. Again, you have to have 6 hours counting towards your degree, and you can apply for that at studentaid.gov. As you can see, we do say to allow 5 to 7 business days for processing. So give yourself a little cushion there if you think you're going to need to apply for that. Next, we have the Graduate Plus loan. It's very similar to the Parent Plus loan, except it's for graduate students only. Once again, 3 hours counting towards your degree. You'll apply at the same place. And again, give yourself that cushion if you do apply for this. Next, we have alternative loans. These are your loans through those third-party lenders that aren't A&M. So think banks, think student loan companies, things like that. Some of these may not require SAP, satisfactory academic progress, which we'll get into in a second. They also may not require half time. You can view and compare lenders. I'll show you where to do that. We have some screenshots at the end of this short presentation to kind of show you where you can find that information so that you can compare these loans to determine what's best for you based on terms, interest rate, etc. And for this one, you do want to allow a little bit longer for processing. It's usually about 10 to 15 business days. So you're getting to the point now where if you think you're going to have to utilize this, start thinking about that application process now, because you don't want to be behind the 8 ball. And then finally, there's outside scholarships. If you visit scholarships.tamu.edu and find additional scholarships, we have a really awesome list of scholarship search engines. So you can make sure that the scholarships that you're looking for and finding aren't going to be scams or trying to get your information to sell it. These are going to be legitimate scholarships through websites that we have vetted ourselves. So it's going to be that a real shot at real money. Going on to the next slide here. Veterans educational benefits. So if we have any veterans, remember to utilize your benefits. You have to request the benefits under the status tab of your financial aid portal for the current aid year, so that's 21-22. In your aid portal, 22-23 is already showing up, so make sure you're selecting 21-22. This will become available once you've registered for your summer cruise. Please remember that coursework must count towards your program, towards your degree, and allow 1 to 3 business days after course registration for the registrar's office to confirm your degree evaluation. Another thing we want to mention is that all these different types of veterans educational benefits do apply differently. So for instance, with your Hazelwood exemption, that's going to cover the full cost of the cruise. So Hazelwood, you're covered for everything. For Chapter 30 and 35 benefits, that's going to be paid at the full-time rate during the summer cruise period. And then for those post 9/11 GI Bill monthly stipends, those will also be paid at a full-time rate. But keep in mind that this is going to cover the cruise tuition and fees, but not the cost of meals aboard the ship. You'll have to find a different way to pay for those. So that might be where those alternative loans come in. If you have any direct loan eligibility left, you can use those there. But that's the main thing there, that post 9/11 GI Bill covers cruise tuition and fees, but not the cost of the meals. Next, financial aid eligibility for summer. So like we mentioned, there are annual federal loan limits. It's based on academic year. And the summer is looked at as part of this current academic year we're in right now, 21-22. So that's where I mentioned if you took out the maximum eligibility for your federal direct unsubsidized or subsidized loans for this year in the fall or spring semester, you're not going to have any eligibility left to take out in the summer. So yeah, if you've already exhausted that annual max, that's when you're starting to look at those different loan options, such as it mentions here, that Parent Plus loan, Graduate Plus loan, alternative loans. Next, enrollment requirements, kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. If you're an undergrad student, you have to be enrolled in at least 6 hours. If you're a grad student, have to be enrolled in at least 3 hours. Those hours have to count towards your degree as well. They can't just be, 3 whatever hours you want to take, have to be counting towards the degree. Awarding is not going to occur until you have enrolled in your summer coursework. Awarding will also not occur until your SAP appeal is approved, if necessary. We'll get into SAP here in a second. And then Pell Grant, alternative loans, institutional grants, and some state aid may not even require a half-time enrollment. So just something to keep in mind there. Maintaining aid eligibility. This is where we're going to talk about SAP, or satisfactory academic progress. So to give you the down and dirty kind of on it, undergraduate students, you got to have a GPA, a cumulative GPA of at least a 2.0. You have to have a completion rate of 75%. So 75% of the classes you are taking, you got to pass. And then excessive hours, you cannot exceed 134% of the hours lined out in your degree plan. All of those 3 things, any one of them will put you into, I don't want to use the word trouble, but it will bring SAP to your attention. You'll have to work with a financial aid office. For graduate students, same thing, except 3.0, 67%, 150%. If spring 2022 was a warning semester for you, you'll probably know that it was a warning semester. If you don't meet SAP again, it may be necessary for you to submit a SAP appeal to continue to receive financial aid. So how do you know if that's going to be necessary? Check the status page on your financial aid portal after spring 22 grades are posted. So as soon as they're posted, start checking that financial aid portal. I would recommend checking it more often than just that, but definitely after those grades are posted, check. And then from there, you'll know if you need to submit that appeal. We'll also email you letting you know, but it's always good to be proactive about that and check yourself as soon as you can. So like I said, here's some screenshots kind of showing you where everything is. This is on your Howdy portal. If you go right there, financial aid portal, you'll just click on that link. You can also visit myfinancialaid.tamu.edu. From there, I mentioned academic year 21-22. 22-23 is available. So you want to make sure that this right here is selected to 21-22. You have your to-do section right here. So like I said, if there's a SAP issue that we need to get taken care of, you're going to see it right here. You're also going to see what you have complete right here. If we've received your FAFSA, if you've completed that SAP appeal, whatever the case may be. And this is all under the status tab right here. Moving on. If you need to accept aid, if you apply for one of those loans and you need to accept it right here, you're going to click begin processing. Again, want to make sure we're under 21-22, and this is all living under the awards tab. Finally, some additional financial aid resources. So this is under SAP calculator right here. If you click on this, you're going to be able to see if you're in a good SAP status. You can put in the grades you're making right now, figure out what that completion percentage is, what your grade point average is going to look like. So you kind of are prepared for, after grades are posted, what is my SAP status looking like? Helpful links, that is what this page is showing right here. And this is where that alternative loans link is. It's going to take you to a lender list via a website called Elm Select. Elm Select is really great because one, every time you access the page, it's going to shuffle the order of the lenders it provides. So it doesn't show any preference. It's not pushing you to one or the other. Additionally, it's going to allow you to compare everything by interest rate, by term, by if it's a fixed rate or a variable rate. So you really get to do the research there in one easy place without having to Google a bunch of different lenders to figure out what's best for you and what's best for your family. And then what's next? So accepted and processed aid is going to begin dispersing against your semester bill 10 days prior to the C term start date. So if it's 14 days prior, you're not seeing it, that's why. It's 10 days prior. If you're enrolled in fall 22, we do want to make sure that you've submitted that 22-23 FAFSA. Just as a reminder, you got to submit that FAFSA every year. So if you haven't done that yet, please do that right now at studentaid.gov and make sure, if applicable, you've requested your veterans educational benefits for 22-23 as well. Then finally, just make sure you review your portal for any incomplete requirements. That's on that status tab in the to-do section. Don't want to be surprised by anything. So like I said, check that on a regular basis. Make sure you've got all your bases covered and you're all squared away. And then finally, we've got a little, basically how to contact us. So you can come by the main building on campus. Right now, we have an advisor there about every other week, Tuesday to Thursday. So if you want to speak to someone in person, we actually won't have anybody there this week, but next week, Tuesday through Thursday, swing by, come talk to us. We love to see students in person. You can also get in line at financialaid.tamu.edu. And that will allow you to speak to someone on the phone, or of course, you can send us an email at financialaid@tamug.edu. Then there's a couple more websites there for some veterans resources and some general financial aid resources. And that is all that I have. So I will turn it over to, I apologize, I'm not sure of first names here, but I'll turn it over to whoever is covering those C-term manuals.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I'll take it. Cody, thank you for
Yes,
that
sir.
very, very informative brief, very complete briefing. Just to touch on something you said right at the end there, that you're not physically here. You don't have anybody that's physically here this week. And so, and they don't want to wait to get their questions, asked and answered to talk to somebody in person next week, I'm assuming. So if you reach out either, the website, schedule an appointment, or the email requesting, appointment or a contact, you guys can set up a Zoom or something like that to do this. And if there's a lot of interest, they may even want to, set up an open Zoom time and say, hey, let's get everybody that's interested in this on for 30 minutes or an hour or whatever. You guys will work that out.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Great. Thank you. I'm going to pitch it now to Dr. Sutherland to talk C-term manuals and some of the updates we've got there.
Great. Well, welcome everybody. Before I jump into the C manuals, I wanted to take the opportunity to introduce Commander Jim Gomper. You see him up here on the panelists. He will be joining us as our new commandant beginning in May 2nd, actually. Commander Gomper brings a wealth of experience. We are glad to have him. He's a graduate of Maine Maritime, so he knows the maritime industry. But then he also graduated from Naval War College, where he went to a very successful career in the Navy, including 6 successful sea tours on 5 different warships. But spent the last decade or so working as a senior naval science instructor. So he's been working with young men and women, getting the very best out of the leadership out of them. So we're very, very excited. A couple of little pieces of trivia is that he is currently working on his Coast Guard, reactivating his Coast Guard license. So you may very well see him in some classes right alongside of you. He was actually the officer in charge of our NRTC program back when I first started here. And I think probably the most important stat is he's the father of one of our current cadets and soon to be graduates here. So I wanted to express my welcome to Commander Gomper. So with that,
Welcome aboard, Commander.
we're very excited. With that, I want to jump into the ship manuals, and I'm just going to touch on a few things. The big thing here is you're getting a whole lot of information. As we said, this is all recorded, but a lot of you like to be able to read information. We do have the C-term manual. That will be available on the summer C-term website on this Thursday, April 21st. So we've been working with that with a broad panel, faculty, staff, student cadet leadership has been on there advising us on how we can improve. Some changes from last year. I really encourage everybody to go through that. One point that I definitely do want to highlight on that is our alcohol policy. I know there has been some discussion, and alcohol continues to be a significant concern in the industry. And my nearly 3 decades here at the university has really been one of the top contributors to cadets being unsuccessful in completing summer C-term. So, besides surveys, we conduct a number of focus groups after our summer C-term to learn ways we can improve the experience for everyone. And in some of those, there were some very concerning things. This year, during the course of those focus groups, there's a number of cases where inappropriate behavior occurred on board the ship after cadets returned from Liberty. So we did a lot of homework. This is obviously a major concern for everybody on board the ship. So we started looking at how the other academies were handling this issue. And we found that one academy does not allow alcohol consumption from the very beginning of summer C-term till the very end, despite being in port every night. That's Great Lakes. 3 others reported using random testing to great success. So we've explored and discussed random testing and definitely do have that as an option, but we're not planning on implementing it unless alcohol becomes a problem this C term. So it's out there. I know there's been rumors. We want to let you know we're not planning on implementing that unless it becomes a problem again on this year. That simply put, this is a training cruise, and even when you're in port, it's part of the training. So we expect professionalism from everyone on board at all times. And this is not going to be a problem for the vast majority of you. The vast majority of you can be and are responsible, but we obviously can't allow irresponsible behavior by very few impact the safety and experience of others on board the training cruise. The Commandant and Commandant staff will continue to monitor for evidence of overconsumption on the dock and will test anyone who may appear to be intoxicated, as well as anyone who misses a limited deadline. This will be performed just as it was in previous training cruises, with 0.08 as the limit, unless you're in a duty section, which obviously it drops to 0.04. This year, there'll also be a little bit more active monitoring while on board the ship in response to what we learned in our focus groups. This is quite simple, pure and simple, a safety issue, and we obviously have to take it seriously. Once again, not a problem for the vast majority of you, but the reason I bring it up here is that I ask each and every one of you to take care of each other and help each other out when port. You know, we all know sometimes somebody's not keeping track, and we want this to be a successful training cruise for everyone involved. That is our goal. We want everybody to be successful. And if you all take care of each other as shipmates, even while in port, we can make this a positive educational experience for all. So I just wanted to get that out there because I know there has been some rumors. With regards to academics, the academic syllabi will be uploaded on dates previously announced by the respective departments. So look for those as well. That'll give you a little more detail about the classes. I know there's been a lot of work on going through and responding to some of the information we got during our surveys last year. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lieutenant Commander Bowman to talk a little bit about uniforms and sea bag requirements, which will also be detailed in those C-term manuals.
Howdy, everyone. So uniforms will be the same as last year. We will be wearing the summer C-term polo, and Ms. Corey Crawford sent out a link today to get those ordered. TAMA will be providing 2 polos, and that will be done via Qualtrics. Like I said, link was sent out today. You'll also be required to have salt and peppers on board, and the full list of what that entails can be found in the summer C-term, the Cadet Ship Operations Manual. You should also bring foul weather gear, of course. And since we're going to Iceland, you're going to need to dress warm in that cold weather gear. I'm very excited about that personally. The deadline for that Qualtrics for the polo shirts is Friday, April 22nd. That is this Friday. So be sure you fill that out. And similar to last year, we will be conducting sea bag inspections when you check in. So when you check in, you should have everything packed. You should be ready to go straight from check-in to the ship with all of your items for your sea bag. And I believe that's everything I've got.
Sarah, I'll just throw a little bit out there for the Cal cadets. You know, we have 2 uniforms. The official one, salt and pepper. I understand you've got one that's similar. The other is a more laid back uniform, which is a color coded polo, depending on which C term you're on. Your first, second, or third, it's a different color. And that's so it's immediately obvious to everybody, you know, on the bridge or wherever on what your experience level is. They will be personalized. I don't know if we have the Cal logo to put on the on the shirt along with your names. So that's so you'll be color coded. You'll look just like us, and you just wear them with a pair of khaki pants. Doesn't have to be uniform. Just some decent khaki pants for wearing on the ship. And by the way, hard hats will be color coded with the same corresponding tape for experience levels. And Captain Post.
May Bowman, can you go over coveralls, please?
Absolutely. I was just about to.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Additionally, you will be expected to have navy blue coveralls, and it should have the patch with your name on it, your class year, and your major. So navy blue coveralls, either Scandia or Dickies or US Navy issue. but they need to be navy blue with all of that information on them.
And previous C-term patches on the sleeve if you want to show your experience level a different way. Okay, next up, Captain. The Captain.
Yep. Howdy, folks. I'm Captain McNeese. We're going to discuss liberty is at the discretion of myself and the Commandant. Like years, we are going to have the 200 level. The young folks, the freshman, sophomore class will be in at 2,300. The juniors will be back at 2,330. And the seniors will be back at 2,400. As for our special liberty requests for extenuating circumstances, they must go through the Commandant office, and we will determine if you can get special liberty. Our big problem with that is to get a C day, you must be on board during the evening. So keep in mind, to get a full C day, you need to be on board. And that's really it for me.
Captain, you want to go over really quickly about daylight in Iceland while we're up there?
Yeah, sure. It's the same as we have daylight here, but a much longer period. Those of you asking me repeatedly about the skies and are you going to see all the different lights at night? No, it may not be even nighttime but a couple of minutes and then it'll be back up. Remember, we'll be going up there close to the solstice, and so it's going to be at the very end of you're not going to get any.
There'll be no darkness.
Yeah, there'll be no darkness. And that's because of the cruelty of your captain. He thinks it's just funny that we have to go up there at that period of year. But it's actually going to be really nice. There's a lot of things for you to see and do. So, and as the Colonel knows, our Admiral, that all the planets are coming in line here in the next couple of days. So you should be out looking in the summer, in the morning at our horizon, southeast horizons. So get out there.
That's pretty cool. Okay. Thank you, Captain. And we got to jumping around a little bit. And I think we jumped over Crystal Lewis. You had something to contribute there on the financial realm.
Yeah, just jumping back into the financial side of everything, due dates, everybody. So the summer due date is June 13th. On May 2nd, bills will be available for student view in the Howdy portal. So in Howdy portal, My Finances, you can view your bill on May 2nd. You'll also be able to set up an installment plan from May 2nd to June 13th if you so choose. So if you want to pay in full, June 13th is the day. If you select to set up an installment plan, June 13th is the first installment, July 13th is the second installment. So make sure you set everything up before you guys head out. If you are not handling your finances and you have someone else doing that for you, make sure you set up an authorized user to go in and make that payment for you. If you set up the installment plan, payments are automatic, so you won't have to deal with that once you set it up. But if you are paying one single payment, make sure you give somebody access to do so before you guys head out. Also, if you have any specific questions, again, email us, Student Business Services at tuitioninfo@tamug.edu, and we'll be sure to answer those questions for you. I'll also add a link in the chat of how to set up an authorized user and also how to make payments, just to make it easier.
Guys, pay attention to that. You're going to be on the ship on those due dates. Make sure we get it all taken care of. Okay. Sorry about that, Crystal.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Okay, Mr. Zimmer, let's talk about the paperwork.
Howdy, sir. The bane of everyone's existence is paperwork, and I am certainly no exception to that, especially right now. But for y'all going on C term this summer, A, have fun without me. Wish I could be out with you. But B, you need to make sure that the following documents are current. So double check your passports, make sure that they have, that they're going to be current through C term and well afterwards. If you think you have a question, you probably do. So make sure you come let myself or Miss Jerry know. Check the expiration dates on your TWIC card. Make sure that is valid through the end of C term. Check your merchant mariner credentials. Make sure that is valid as well. That one should not be a problem. But again, double check. Your med certs. You must have a current med cert to sail. So please double check that. For those of you who see all the dates on the top, it's the number we're looking at is the one in the top left corner. So please make sure that's valid through the end of C term. For proof of COVID vaccination, we have to have it by May 22nd in order for you to be able to get off the ship and enjoy some liberty in Bermuda. So please make sure we're in possession of that. You can bring it by in person so we can make a copy of it. You are more than welcome to email it to myself if you like. And that's if you choose to provide it. You are not obligated to do so, but if you want to get off the ship in Bermuda, you must. Your Coast Guard physical and your med certs. Most of you already took advantage of WellNow being on campus earlier this semester. For those of you that didn't, you need to double check your Coast Guard physical dates and make sure they're valid for 6 months after the end of summer C term. So if you did not take advantage of WellNow, your Coast Guard physical needs to be valid through roughly, let's say the new year, January 1st, thereabouts. Double check your vaccinations and double check your vaccination records with your physicians. Make sure everything is up to date. I know that we had a large session over here at Aggie Center, actually 2 of them for all of our our first time cruisers, or excuse me, summer C term cadets, and with our, everyone else who's been on summer C term before. And one things we checked was vaccinations. If you did not come over here for one of those, please make it a point to come over here and check on your vaccinations. It would be really unfortunate if any of your vaccinations expire. So other than that, if you have any other questions about paperwork, please come by our suite over here in Aggie Center. Come talk to us. We would really not like for you to get left behind because of paperwork issues. Thank you, and I hand it back to you, Admiral.
And Patrick, when are we? We're sending a list of all these things out, or has that already gone out? It's a lot to remember.
A lot of it went out a lot earlier this year, but we can certainly prepare something. We can prepare something and send it out again one last time. But if y'all do not remember coming over here to check your documents or your vaccinations,
that's right.
Please make that a priority to get that done in the next week or so, because after that, it probably is going to be too late.
Yep. I understand that was done fairly recently, the document check-ins and stuff, and it will be releasing the same with our Thursday information releases. The C term manual will be out on Thursday, and that'll have this list in there too.
Yes, sir. There was one thing I happened to see pop up in the chat about TB testing. TB tests do need to be current through C term. So if you've had one done within the last couple of years, you probably need to get a fresh one. If you've had one done recently within the last couple of months, just make sure we have the results.
Okay. Okay, Captain Post, let's talk about the check-in.
All right, can't get going until you check in. And you can't check in unless you've registered. So if you haven't registered, make sure you've registered for the C term. Again, for all of our California cadets, and we'll have 32 of you on board, 10 deck, and the rest will be engine. Check-in will take place for Texas cadets on the 22nd of May in the Aggie Center. You will be assigned check-in times by company. Please arrive prepared to board the vessel during that time. You will be moving directly onto the ship. Please do not arrive outside of your check-in time. Last year, we had a lot of people bunch up who arrived outside of their check-in time and created a bit of a line. So arrive at your check-in time, see Aggie Center. Check-in will include CBAG and document inspection, verification of signature on the cadet ship ops manual, medical check by the ship's doctors, and verification of any vaccines. You must have your TWIC card on you at all times. For those of you who've sailed with us before, we utilize APAS as our gangway security system, and it utilizes the TWIC card. So in order to get on and off the ship, you must have your TWIC card on you at all times.
Hey, Ellen, take real quick. What about if cadets want to come in from out of town and they want to come to campus the day before they check in? Can they, and Dr. Sutherland, this may be for you, can they stay in a room?
We'll look and see if we can make that happen. I think we can probably make that happen, but let me get that information. We'll put it out. So.
Okay. Okay.
While you have the floor, would you like to introduce Quentin?
Oh, me? Sure. Yeah. You know, we've got our C-term commander on here with us, Quentin Hendricks. He's joining us as part of the panel, you know, too, although he's been hiding. But and, you know, Quentin, we didn't prepare this, but you know, anything you want to talk about? We're done with most of the stuff. We've got some little odds and ends, or I mean, some other different things that we know we need to talk about. But do you have anything for the gang here?
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to tell everyone that I'm super excited to be the C-term commander this year. Been looking forward to it for the last couple of months since I received the position. We've been doing a lot, and if it's okay with you guys, I was gonna tell everyone who at least who our deck COs and XOs are. So for our company commanders on the deck side, this year it's going to be Abby Johnson, Christian Clayton, and Tommy Grimison. And their XOs are going to be Devin Hafner, Riley Redmond, and Conrad Locke in that order. We're still working to get the engineers selected because we're trying to get a list from the Cal people. But congratulations to all those deck people that applied. Thank you again, guys. And we're looking forward to working with all you and having everyone on board the ship this summer.
Okay, and you mentioned the Cal folks, so we're looking to get them in the possibility for leadership positions also. Is that right?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Great.
So for any of those Cal people that are interested in helping us out this summer, we'd love to have you. If you could just send it up and let us know that you're interested, we'd love to talk to you about it.
Okay. Let's see, a few other things. When we were meeting the other time, there were questions that we knew of. You know, one thing, fishing has been a question. And yes, if I got this right, Captain, we're allowed to bring fishing gear, but you know, it will be designated times and locations that you're allowed to fish, and any lines had to be attended. Is that right, Captain?
Yes, sir, that is correct. Only in really out at sea, because that'll be the only place that they're allowed to fish, and they have to tend their lines.
Yeah. Okay. How do we want to address some of these other things? Okay, I'll just kick it out there. We had questions about sunbathing. People that want to go out and work on their tan. You know, you're big people. If you miss duty because you're too sunburned, that's bad on you. But we'll say only at sea, not in port. We're on public display when we're in port. And so, you know, when we're at sea and you've got the free time, then, you know, feel free. If we've got any problems with it, we'll let you know and we'll adjust. There's another question that came up about publicly audible music. Yes, you know, people enjoy it, sometimes working, sometimes certainly in the gym, but there will be some details outlined in the cadet ship ops manual, you know, on that. And it actually is with some caveats for stuff that's, you know, frankly, you know, offensive and would get any of us in trouble using certain language and stuff like that in a, in a professional environment and stuff. So if it's out loud, it's public. Will we have access to fitness and recreation facilities on board the Kennedy? Yes, yes, yes. And back to the move in, can I move in, stuff into my, into my room for the fall semester before I go in the C term? No, the rooms are being cleaned, refreshed, and or used. So there is no on-campus storage for anything, during the summer. There's just no place on campus for us to put it. So some people have it parked in a car, other people find buddies to put it with, or leave it stashed with for the C term. Let's see. There's do cadre for a week, get off the ship early to return to campus. Nope. We'll get back. We'll be back to campus with enough time to take a shower, wash your clothes, and jump into O week. Will cadets have to or get to work in the engine room again? We're working on that. It'll be an updated program to give you the opportunity to get down there for familiarization and stuff. Sextants will be handed out before check-in, and let's see. There's a question that always comes up about internet or Wi-Fi on the ship. There is no Wi-Fi on the ship. There's never been a Wi-Fi on the ship, contrary to some rumors that have come out. We do not have a data plan that will allow wide scale, use of normal stuff. You will have an email account aboard on the ship. We're still working some options on this, and cell phone use up to the master. We just the kind of data plan to handle people is really, really expensive. So there will be an email like there was last summer that you can use to communicate with your family, but the only connecting back home, really once we get in port, you'll have to have your cell phone will have to have some kind of data plan that will work internationally. And that everybody's got to sort that out. The plan that I have, if I go outside the country, it automatically starts charging me an out of country rate, so I can use it. But I am certainly not an expert on what kind of data plans are out there. But it's an issue when you're in Iceland and even in Bermuda, where things are more expensive and getting access is more expensive. I don't know if we've answered all those questions yet. So we're over time here. We did have, I think we did have some other questions, and I have not been able to keep track of what we've answered or not answered yet from the ones that came in ahead of time. Rebecca, do you have some other ones that came up either in chat or Q&A?
I do, yes, sir. We have hit all of the questions, most of the questions submitted. Those that we haven't answered will be answered in our summer C term manual, and that'll be posted next Thursday. I think at this time, sir, if there's any lingering questions, go ahead and toss them out on the thread on Facebook, or email. Oh, Corey's not going to like this. Because I don't recall the address, I apologize. We will reach out to you guys, everybody who registered, and give you another means of communicating. In the meantime,
HAMA info
to plug a few information sources for you. Bookmark www.taamug.edu/SST. That has all of your summer C term information, including our schedule, ongoing updates that are released every Thursday. Once we are underway, we'll have the captain's log. You'll be able to track the ship. We release all information by the end of the day on Thursday, where we possibly can. If you don't see something, we typically say, hey, there's nothing to share. But would love to connect with you and make sure that you have all of the information that you need. Go ahead, Alan.
This just in from the home office. The email address, if you have any further questions, is tamma, TAMMA at tamug.edu. That's TAMMA at TAMUG.edu.
Okay.
Perfect. Back to you, sir.
No, I think we had a request from the Cal students to stay on board to answer maybe a little, to answer a few more questions specific to them if other folks want to drop. More to come. Exciting. It's going to be one heck of a summer. I look forward to joining for a leg, and I'll just drop a little hint. I look forward to getting a blue nose.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks everybody for coming. Really appreciate it. If our Cal Maritime cadets would stay on for just a little bit longer, there were a few questions in the chat on information sharing that we need to get correct information to you.
I'll give just a few minutes here.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Good evening, our friends from out west. It's now, I guess it's approaching evening where you are. I am going to scroll through the questions here really quickly. Yes. So CMA will be, here's the first one. The answer is yes. CMA cadets will be boarding on May 23rd. Not May 22nd.
And why is that? Just a different check-in kind of stuff? Or?
Just for ease of travel and ease of check-in. When we had decided that, there was a lot more California cadets.
Okay.
Okay, what is the boarding situation? You will go through the same exact check-in process as the TAMA cadets. However, I do not. No, you will get all that. So you will be sent all of the questionnaires and everything the same as all of the TAMA cadets. We have your email addresses now and know who you are. I literally did get that from Dr. Meyer this afternoon. Is Leon Adams a Cal or a TAMA cadet?
He's a Cal cadet.
Okay. Who do we contact about questions about the Kennedy unrelated to billing? You could contact me directly. You have my email address from earlier in the day. It's posta@tamug.edu. So that's posta@tamug.edu.
I'm going to give Corey a plug here too, just because she will be a tremendous resource to you all. She can also be reached at tamma@tamug.edu.
Alan, there were a couple questions in the Q&A you might want to double check.
Yeah, hold on. I'm still going down the chat. Are Cal Maritime cadets expected to get new patches for boiler suits? No. What are Cal Maritime students expected to get as uniform pieces? We will, the uniform is actually what I'm wearing here. It's not maroon, but it has our logo and name on it. We're gonna see if we can get the Cal logo and do the same. You're all, I believe, juniors. What color shirts are juniors, Sarah?
That is royal blue.
Royal
very
blue.
fitting for Cal.
Yes, it'll be very, very fitting. And that just goes with khaki pants or khaki shorts. If you're on watch on deck, in the engine room, obviously you'll be wearing boiler suits. And then we have, go ahead.
Just that they're color coded. The people that are on their rookie seat term wear a teal, greenish teal. The second seat term is the royal blue, and seniors wear, I think it's black, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And we'll provide those. We'll provide you 2 polo shirts.
And Alan, don't forget to include a comment about foul weather gear, since Cal
Yes.
Maritime doesn't normally have it.
Yes, understand that there's not a lot of foul weather in California this time of year, but for those engineers who wish to go out into the foul weather, I wouldn't recommend it. Deckies don't like going out into the foul weather. It's up to you if you wish to buy foul weather gear. However, I would highly recommend you purchase some cold weather gear, a watch cap, and at least a double layer jacket, outer layer and an inner warmth layer. It will be windy up there, and high temperatures in the time of the year when we're going are in the mid 50s.
And do you want to clarify if there's a standard uniform for that or not, or is it just any general foul weather gear?
We don't issue or require the purchase of the foul weather gear. It's up to each individual.
Yeah,
I would bid, but we're not uniform.
Like everyone said, our foul weather gear is not uniform, but we do recommend high visible yellow or orange, just in case.
Yeah.
Okay, for the CMA cadets that will be disembarking in Bermuda, please send an email to me, posta@tamug.edu.
Oh, we've got some.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, navy blue. You said overalls? No, they have to be coveralls. And I believe long sleeve, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Yep. Navy blue long sleeve coveralls. You can get them at Walmart, Dickies, Red Cap, Navy Exchange, Scandia Gear, anything like that.
Any requirement on the weight?
No.
Okay. Flammability standards?
We're having a question about that right now internally.
Yeah.
2-piece work blues, okay. Sarah, I believe Captain McNeese is nodding his head yes.
I will put a clarification on that for engineering. Chief Korn historically has not approved 2 pieces.
Okay. So if you're an engineer, no. But send me an email on that, and we will confirm that, please. All right. We're going to be working with so you're on board for your commercial sea term. You'll be integrated into the watch and maintenance programs for the ship. The class room periods will be on your own to be able to complete your sea projects. So we're doing we're doing roughly 3 days of each. I'd have to pull up the schedule, but you'll be assigned into a regular company, so you'll stand watch with everybody else. You will do maintenance with everyone else, and then on classroom days, you'll be allowed to work on your sea project.
Are the Cal cadets 100% junior?
Yes.
Second
Right.
seat?
Second sea term rising juniors.
Okay.
What we call 300.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So we don't need instructors. Do we know Cal is sending some support staff?
Not at this time.
Okay.
They're under the threshold.
Okay. Very good.
And
Any
I was gonna chime in for all you Cal people. If you guys have any questions about kind of academics or paperwork related stuff, if you just want to ask questions about the ship or something, you can reach out to me, and I can ask any of the people here and get some feedback for you guys about extra stuff to bring or stuff you might want to bring with you, anything like that. Feel free to ask.
Yes, we would appreciate you being there no later than 1500. What is the room situation like for CMA students? You'll be integrated into our companies and living in the congregate berthing with our companies.
Yep, and
Unless of-
not as a Cal unit.
Unless, of course, you want to volunteer for leadership, apply for leadership, in which case you would probably get a 9 to 6 man berthing.
Yeah, and we wanted to integrate you. So, you know, this is our chance to get to know you, and you, the opportunity to make a lot of friends from Texas and the Gulf Coast.
We will be sure the link for the leadership application gets to y'all within the next day.
Lieutenant Commander Bowman has all of your emails. All right, any last questions? Well, we look forward to having you. If you have any questions, please email me directly for our California students or anybody if they want to. We'll be happy to answer them and hopefully make this as seamless for you as possible. We can't wait to have you. You're going to have a pretty cool experience going up to fire and ice and then down to the tropics. And so.
Looking forward to it. I think that's it. That's a wrap.
It's a wrap, Rebecca. Thank you.
Okay.